Hey y'all, welcome back to Exile Wargaming today, and as always, we're going to be talking about winning with Harlequins in competitive 10th edition Warhammer 40K with a battle report against Adeptus Custodes using the new shield host rules in the Pariah Nexus mission pack. Now, first things first, let's go over the list. This is something that I've been playing around with the past few games. I believe this is my fourth game with this exact list. I'm not entirely sold on it. I'm missing a few things, and after this game, I may make some changes. But as it stands right now, we're using a Solitaire, a Death Jester with Fate's Messenger, 2 Troop Masters, Yvraine and the Vizarch attached to an 11-man troop unit with fusion pistols and all the good stuff. We are running 5 units of 5 troops. Now, 3 of them will be in Star Weavers. The other 2 will be attached to Troop Masters inside of Falcons. We are using 3 units of 2 Skyweavers each with Zephyr Glaives and a Viper. Now, this is coming in at 17 total units at 1,995 points. Now, our opponent is bringing Adeptus Custodes in the new shield host. Now, this list is very durable. It is very difficult to deal with. I do not believe the current iteration of Harlequins that I'm playing is equipped to deal with an army like this effectively. I think it really will come down to player skill and, more importantly, familiarity with your specific army. I do not see us beating a list like this regularly unless we make some pretty dramatic changes or at least swap around a couple units. So our opponent is bringing Valerian attached to a unit of Wardens, a regular Blade Champion, and another Blade Champion with Panoptis specs. I don't believe it does anything relevant in this game, but he is attached to another unit of Wardens. He's bringing a 4-man Custodian Guard Squad attached to Kyria Draxis, and then 3 units of 3 Venatari Custodians beyond this. Now, the Venatari are able to rapid ingress for free, so really anywhere across the board they can get into. With the way the terrain is set up now, it makes it very, very difficult for us to predict what they're going to do or trade efficiently. We're going to see that a little bit in this game. And then there's 2 Prosecutor Squads and 1 Eversor Assassin. They are coming in at 10 total units at 2,000 points on the nose. This list seems pretty incredible. Now, we will be playing Mission O on Terrain Layout 4, Terraform, Stalwarts, and Crucible of Battle. Getting into deployment, our opponent really just positioned everything on the line, looking to work up towards the objectives wherever they can get into. I do not have any good firing lanes or lines at any point in time. We did outdrop them, so we get a couple cheeky things we can do on the first turn, but nothing that's going to put our opponent at a major disadvantage. We have a unit of Prosecutors up top here, most likely going to move on to this point and try to terraform it, or the Eversor Assassin can try to do that as well. And then a unit of Wardens with Blade Champion on this side as well. They have Kyria Draxis in the middle. They have another unit of Wardens down over here with a Blade Champion, and then another unit with Valerian afterwards. And then on their home field objective, they have a unit of Prosecutors back here. Now, we did our tried and true symmetry method, just making sure that we can shift wherever we need to on the board at any given point in time. But going up against something this durable, I'm not entirely sure that this method or approach is as effective as it could be. This game was absolutely a learning experience. So we have a Falcon, a Star Weaver, and Skyweavers up top. We have a Viper, a Falcon, and a Star Weaver down at the bottom. We have another unit of Skyweavers in the middle, just to kind of claim this middle objective, force our opponent to do something early. And then we're using another unit of Skyweavers to just hold our backfield and screen out as much as we possibly can. Skyweavers are not very beneficial in this matchup, so I figured the best thing they can do is just hold on to an objective. We have another the Solitaire backed up here, and then our big unit of troops with Yvraine and the Vizarch right in the middle. The goal here is just to push up towards this center rune. If our opponent comes in, we can either heroic intervention if they attack our unit in the center, or we can push up the midboard if they try to stage in this rune afterwards. If we really needed to, we can push this unit down to this bottom objective and help support here. They are planning on dropping quite a few units towards this section of the board, it looks like, in deployment. Now we do win the roll and get to go first. We roll our fate dice, get 2 6s, 2 4s, a 2, and a 1. So we're doing really, really well there. We will absolutely be burning through all of our fate dice this game. We end up drawing engage on all fronts and recover assets. Now, I do believe that we could get engage on all fronts on this turn. We absolutely could have. But early on in the game, sometimes I just like to stockpile as much CP as I can. I know I have to throw grenades. I know I'm going to have to use feigned retreats and lightning fast reactions and possibly fire and fade later on in the game. So having as much CP as possible seems pretty relevant. In the list building section of this, I believe I said that these Skyweavers had Zephyr Glaives. They actually all had Star Bolus in this game. I have found with the new terrain and how I'm using the Skyweavers that the Bolus just seemed like a better fit at this point in time. So we end up moving the Skyweavers back here. We get onto this objective. We also move the Solitaire up to start terraforming this unit as well. The Skyweavers block the front of the objective, so the unit of Custodes or the Eversor Assassin can't quite get to it, and then we end up bringing down this unit of Prosecutors over here. The Star Bolus are actually very, very good into a lot of profiles. Beyond this, we move our Skyweavers that were staged in the center up front here. They are going to recover assets at this point in time. And then we move our Harlequin troop right here. Now, we made sure to stage, so if they do get into base-to-base contact with this unit, we will be able to heroically intervene if he ends up moving this guard up front or this unit of Wardens towards this position. So it's sort of a trap. We'll see if they bite or if they even need to take it afterwards. The Falcon moves up just a hair in order to get a line of sight down this angle if we need to later on in the game. And then we move our Starweaver at the bottom up to this objective and we attempt to terraform over here. The Viper in the back has no good lines of fire, so we're going to recover assets there. And then the Death Jester is just going to wait in the wings. In our opponent's first turn, he ends up moving the Custodian Guard and Kyriodraxis up into this rune. And Kyriodraxis ends up firing into the Skyweavers, ends up bringing one of them down. This unit of Wardens with the Blade Champion ends up advancing and looking to, I guess, charge this Solitaire up this objective. Afterwards, they will control it, but that's a pretty big boost for them if they can get this early on. At the end of the movement phase, though, we do Phantasm the Solitaire and gets it right into like an 11 or a 12-inch charge range, and he does end up missing that. The Eversor Assassin also ends up pushing over here towards these Skyweavers. The unit with Valerian and Wardens down here pushed up into this rune. The other unit advanced to get up to here and will end up pushing into the Starweaver on this objective afterwards. But this unit of Custodian Wardens ends up firing into the Skyweavers on the center objective. This unit fires in and they bring them down very, very easily. In the charge phase, because we end up phantasming, he does not go for the charge on the Solitaire, ends up just moving into the Skyweavers on this objective and very easily brings that down. The Wardens end up making like a 7-inch charge into the Starweaver down here, and our troops end up getting out. They do hold this objective now. So our opponent is in pretty good shape at this point, and it looks like we're going to have to put a lot of focused fire on these Warden units if we want to make anything happen. Moving into our turn 2, we end up drawing Sabotage and Containment. Our opponent's first secondary was Overwhelming Force, and they did get a 5 on that. So that was pretty nice for them. We are behind in secondaries already, and we look to be very far behind in primary unless we can do something about these Wardens. So we end up just abandoning this section of the board altogether. We are not going to fight these Wardens up top. We just do not have the equipment to do that at this point. So we bring back the Falcon and we bring back the Starweaver, so we cannot be charged in the following turn. We end up pushing Yvraine's unit from the ruin towards the center of this board. Like we said early on, if they give us a target in the mid board, we are absolutely going to do this. In our experience against Blood Angels, I would much much rather prefer pushing up into our opponent's lines than letting them just rapid ingress all over the board and just crash in on everything we want to do. So portion of this is making sure that our opponent does not have good rapid ingress options with the Venatari. So the Solitaire, who was here, ends up just blitzing backwards. We know we're going to lose him, but I want to make sure that we're screening out a decent section of the board and we're not allowing Venatari to drop right here that can then crash into our lines afterwards. With the Wardens, it just seems like a nightmare situation. So we do bring the Solitaire up. We are resigned to just sacrificing him at this point. Down low, we end up bringing a unit of troops out of one of the Falcons. We fire into the Wardens over here. The unit with the Troop Master ends up firing all of its fusion pistols and everything into this. We throw grenades. We give them absolutely everything. Between 2 units of troops, the Death Jester, the Viper eliminating cover, and the Falcon, even with their 4-up Feel No Pains, we drop 4 of the Wardens. So we are looking pretty good right there, but we have to watch out for the Venatari that dropped and the other unit of Wardens right here. Another unit of Venatari came down back here, looking to heroically intervene if we end up getting into combat up here as well. Now, in our charge phase, we end up pushing both units of Harlequin troops into the Blade Champ and the final Warden down here. And then we charge the Guardians up here with Kyria Draxus. Now, we started off with the combat down here because this did look like it could get pretty hairy pretty quick. And I'm pretty confident that we will be able to survive in this section of the board as long as we get to fight at some point in time. So this unit starts to fight. We bring down the Blade Champ. We bring down the last Warden pretty easily. And then the unit with the Troop Master ends up getting back into this Star Weaver at the end of combat. Now, after this, our opponent intervened and ended up fighting this unit over here and ends up dropping 6 of our Harlequin troop. We did make a ridiculous number of Feel No Pains, 5s and 6s. I think it was 3 in total. He did try to heroically intervene and just missed the charge afterwards. So that did not work out so well. We end up bringing down 3 of the Custodian Guard. It is just 1 left and Draxus afterwards. In our opponent's turn 2, they end up drawing Engage on all fronts and bring it down, while we scored 3 on Sabotage and 3 on Containment last turn. This Star Weaver ended up getting 3 on Containment, and this Star Weaver ended up sabotaging this objective over here. As well, in the middle, I forgot to mention that we did move our Harlequin troop up to try to terraform this objective. This troop was inside of this Star Weaver that ended up moving up towards this wall so we can get our troops back in afterwards. Our opponent this turn ends up getting an 8 on primary and unfortunately could not terraform this objective because they do have to get rid of this Solitaire. So they end up moving up the unit of Wardens that was staged in this ruin here. They bring down this unit of troops very, very easily, and the Venatari pop out to go for the solo troop unit without the Troop Master right here. The reason we love Star Weavers is because really we could just start out activating our opponent right now. They cannot kill all of our troops even if they wanted to. So we are in pretty good shape there. In the charge phase, our opponent ended up charging the Venatari into our unit of Harlequin troops, and they recharged Kyria Draxus and the Custodian Guard that were up here as well. They fell back earlier in this turn, but they have a stratagem now where they can fall back, shoot, and charge, and do all of the good stuff. So all of this ended up came crashing back here. The Venatari come into the troop that's on this objective, and the Wardens come into the Star Weaver. We were able to get our troops out afterwards, so they could not consolidate in, but even if they did, we were just going to get free attacks and can just use framed retreat the turn after. So this unit of troops down here ends up getting wiped out by the Venatari. That was kind of ridiculous, and this Star Weaver goes by. Now, up in this combat here, we do get fights first, and we are able to bring down all 3 of the Venatari. Custodians are not that bad when they don't have that 4+ Feel No Pain or all of the extra, and we can get them primarily saving on 4s, we can bring them down. The Vizarch is pretty dang good. Even the lead player in our troop units is -2 AP. It allows us to do a little bit more damage than you would assume. So we end up bringing down those 3, and then we lose another one to Kyria Draxus's unit, and we use lightning fast reactions for that -1 to hit. So we're going to make it out of this alive afterwards. In our turn 3, we end up drawing Assassination and Establish Locust. So we can do both of these, but we're only getting 4 on primary again. That's 0 for the first turn, 4 for the second turn, 4 for the third turn. We have 8 primary through 3 turns, and our opponent got 8 on just their second. So we are behind. We need to make something happen. I do believe that we can get Assassination though. So what we end up doing is falling out of combat. We used Feigned Retreat with Yvrane's unit. We fire everything into the Custodian Guard and Kyria Draxus. We get our 5 on Assassination, and we make our way towards their home field objective. We also use Fire and Fade on our Falcon after the Death Jester gets in, and we are just leaving this bottom objective. There is no way we're going to fight that. That is a useless proposition. We're going to run to the other side of the board and claim whatever it is that we possibly can. So we end up Fire and Fading the Falcon all the way across the board towards their home field objective with the Death Jester inside. Now, one of the important things that we did is we left the troop with the Troop Master on this objective down here. If we can bring down the Venatari, then it forces our opponent to use their Wardens to hold this objective for the remainder of the game. And now we can start catching up. So we move the Viper up and out. We do have to keep it relatively close so that the last unit of Venatari cannot rapid ingress in. This Falcon still has a Troop Master in it. This Star Weaver still has troops in it as well. And then we have this unit of Skyweavers back here. So we do still have a few game pieces to play with. But our main focus is going to be towards taking our opponent's home field objective. They end up dropping the Venatari just within range back here. They couldn't get any closer. So if we roll too high on our charge and we have to wrap farther around, they will be able to heroically intervene afterwards. But really the plan here is I have enough CP. I'm going to use a 1 on the Fate Dice. I think we only needed a 5 to get in. Or I think we were only 5 inches away from the prosecutors right here. If I use the 1 or the 2, all I need is a 3-up or a 4-up, and we are safe. So nice thing about Fate Dice, we can manipulate the game wherever we need to. In our charge phase, pretty much everything goes as planned. We're able to get in combat with the prosecutors and keep out of heroic intervention range, which was pretty nice for us. Now, we bring them down. We're going to hold the home field objective. We're going to have some options for the following turn. This really does put these Venatari in a really bad predicament. This unit having fights first and continually bringing back troops is kind of a big deal. Beyond this, the unit of Harlequin troops with the Troop Master and their grenades and fusion pistols and devastating wounds are able to bring down the Venatari down here, but our opponent uses heroic intervention on this side to bring the troop down in this combat afterwards. So at the end of the turn, our opponent has 2 units of Wardens, both on objectives, holding them strong, and a unit of Venatari afterwards. Now, we are gaining back some board presence, but our opponent is still making a lot of headway. In our opponent's turn 3, they end up drawing Sabotage and Extend Battle Lines. What a time to lose your home field objective. An easy 5 points typically, but not in this game. So the Venatari just have to make the push as best as they can. They move up. They try to shoot into Yvrane's unit. We use lightning fast reactions, getting them hitting on 3s, and we keep most of them alive. We're also bringing back a ton of units, or 1 or 2 or 3 each turn. This unit is just incredible this game. Down here, I believe we end up sabotaging or terraforming on this objective, and one of the other units does the opposite. So they get 3 on secondaries, they lose extend battle lines, and we move into the charge phase. Our opponent ends up charging into the Harlequin troop. I don't know what the hell he was thinking at this point. It was just hopes and prayers. Had no hope at all. We end up overwatching on the charge. We kill 1 with a fusion pistol, and then we get another 2 down in combat. So they had no hope. We bring them down with relative ease. Everything else stays pretty similar. In our turn 4, we end up drawing behind enemy lines and extend battle lines. So now we're finally getting some good secondaries. We end up getting 8 points on primary, and our goal is to just block our opponent from being able to do anything really beneficial at this point. So we hold the home field objective down here. We will have extend battle lines, and we will get behind enemy lines for 4 points. Beyond that, we end up moving our troop out of the Star Weaver that was staged over here. We just advance them and block these Custodian Guard or Wardens inside this ruin. If they want to come out and fight them, that's perfectly fine. All we want to do is keep them on this objective at this point. I don't want them crashing out and contesting the middle and then being able to bring in their other Warden units, combine that with their shooting and everything else. This could end up spiraling. So at the time, I just thought, you know what, keep them where they are. We're going to move the Viper up towards this objective and try to keep them from getting a simple angle or extra movement, just moving straight out of this as well if they were going to come on and try to charge this Falcon or this Star Weaver. We are using the Falcon this turn to terraform the center objective. We are using the Death Jester to terraform this final objective. If we end up getting just an extra 4 points, we are crushing it. Our goal here, just in case, I don't know what's going to happen, but I figured there's no need to keep your Vrain's unit down there. He's not going to be able to come and take this home field objective with anything else. We might as well start pushing up after. So we are in pretty good shape, and then we move our Skyweavers up here out into the front of the objective in case they have to do anything later on. This is just planning for the worst. In our opponent's turn 4, they end up drawing Established Locusts and no prisoners. Now, Established Locusts is basically deploy teleport homers. They have no hope of getting that. They ditch it for 1 CP and end up redrawing Defend Stronghold. So the secondary gods are not treating our opponent very well this game, but we're pretty happy for it. So they end up moving out this unit of Wardens with Valerian and fire into the Falcon. We use lightning fast reactions. Nothing happens. Everything bounces. We are in really good shape there. Then this other unit comes out, realizing it doesn't have enough to bring it down. He fires it into the Star Weaver and does have enough to bring it down to 2 wounds. If everything would have fired, they may have been able to bring it down. I'm not entirely sure. But we are in pretty good shape moving into their charge phase. In our opponent's charge phase, they end up moving this unit into this unit of Harlequin troops. They go down pretty quick. He consolidates behind this objective over here and then charges into the Viper. Unfortunately, the way he rolled his charge, he wasn't able to bring everyone back into cover after bringing that down. But going into our turn 5, we are looking pretty good. In the final turn, we end up scoring 16 on primary. We get Terraform down here and hold this objective. We get Terraform in the middle and hold this objective. And we also get a 4 over here. So we did pretty good catching up. Our goal now is to just contest our opponent's objective and keep them from scoring anymore. So we bring the Star Weaver at 2 wounds down here, again, just to try to block any movement we possibly can. The Falcon shifts over on this objective, and then your Vrain's unit ends up pushing forward. Now, we did bring back 2 of our Harlequin troop, which is awesome. Gets us a few extra inches of movement, and I'm so glad that we started pushing them upwards because this game was getting very, very tight. And if we can contest this objective, we will be in great shape. Now, our Falcon that had a troop and troop master inside of it ends up pushing towards this objective here. And dropping out the troops. They're not going to be able to charge, but they were able to all get on the objective. That's 6 OC right there. If your range unit can get on and we can drop a couple Wardens, we will take that from our opponent the following turn. And I believe it's inevitable that we will win. So we put everything we can into this unit of Wardens. I believe they finally used their 4-up Feel No Pain, which is so ridiculous to burn through. And we are able to bring down 2 in shooting between the Falcon and the troops and grenades. So we did some pretty good work. We just got to hope we can finish it off in the charge phase. Now, we've been holding on to a 6 for the remainder of this game, and your Vrain's unit does very easily make it into combat. We roll a 5 on the other dice, so we get 11 inches of charge. Something very nice. I don't really have a big place to put our 6s on our fate dice in, so just saving them from when you absolutely need them makes so much sense. Do not waste them in a game because it really changed the entire dynamic of this. I do not believe we would have won this game if we didn't have that 6 or if we didn't make this charge. So we end up making the charge. We bring down 2 more wardens, which is pretty nice. It leaves 1 warden and a blade champion remaining. He ends up bringing down like 5 or 6 of our Harlequin troop, even with the feel no pains and lightning fast reactions afterwards. But because of that, we still have more OC on the point with this Falcon and this troop afterwards. Even if they decide to charge and wipe one of them, we are going to be able to fight first with your Vrain's unit or heroically intervene. And I think we have enough OC to contain this for the remainder of the game. In our opponent's final turn, they end up drawing area denial. So he ends up moving this unit of wardens up. This Star Weaver was not enough to block him. I don't know what the hell I was doing. And he charges the Falcon. He will get 5 points for area denial and then 4 points at the end for primary beyond this. So he had a few points from terraforming, I believe, but we brought the game pretty close. We were kind of on that knife's edge on who was going to win. I believe making this charge up here was the real difference maker overall. At the end of it all, the Harlequins walk away victorious. Looking back on this game, though, I am not entirely sure that this score is correct. I have to look at the rules as written on Terraform if they have to complete that action at the end of a battle round, because he did begin the action, but then ended up firing and getting into combat with some of our units afterwards. So we may have given our opponent an extra 8 points. So this game may not have been as close as we originally thought. But as it stands, as we were playing it, I thought it was pretty damn close. Now, I believe that we have a ton of strengths into Custodes, but we also have a very significant number of weaknesses. We are strong in the move blocking, in screening. We can out-activate our opponent. We have that transport protection, which is phenomenal against units that have to bring our units down in combat. It allows us to save our troops. Now, we have a high volume of damage 1 attacks. There's no real mitigation our opponent can get into that really affects us anymore. They don't have the have damage strat or -1 damage strat anymore, but in my head, it was always there. So we have a good amount of efficient damage into their units without having to rely too heavily on them just making a million 4-up saves. The more 4-ups we make them make, the more likely we are to bring down those units, and that's where those damage 1 attacks come in. Now, we are highly mobile, and this is the biggest portion of our success. Being able to screen the board quickly and efficiently means everything, especially against something like Venatari and armies that can just drop wherever they want on the board at every given point in time. Whether it's Necrons, whether it's Grey Knights, whether it's 3 units of Venatari rapid ingressing every turn, or even something like Blood Angels being able to be absolutely everywhere. If we did not play those games into Necrons and Grey Knights and Blood Angels, I do not think I walk away from this game the victor. Each game is a learning experience. This was just another one of them. Now, as far as our weaknesses, the Wardens are incredibly durable. We had to put half of our army into one of those units to try to bring it down, only for it to be able to be finished off by something very, very easily the turn after. So Wardens are absolutely ridiculous. We just run from combat once we need to. They have very efficient shooting profiles into a lot of our units. Even it's only, strength 4, -1, 2 damage. Our feel no pain on your Vrain's unit doesn't really matter with all that 2 damage. We're not rolling that many 5s and 6s in tandem to save them. It's very, very efficient into our Skyweavers and our Star Weavers and our Vipers. Their primary holding is through the roof. Each one of those units outside of the Venatari, I believe, is 3 OC a piece. So we're getting into something like 18 OC on an objective that's being held by Wardens or a unit of Custodian Guard. That's pretty decent. We can't just drop a unit of 5 troops on the board. Rules is written right now. Harlequins are still only OC 1, even though their battle line, ridiculous. But it's very difficult to contest objectives from them. Overall, I really just missed D-cannons. They change the dynamic of each game that I've ever played with them. I think they really do a great job of fulfilling that kind of big damage, force your opponent into bad predicaments role that the Harlequins are missing. I know they just switched to only being able to ever hit on 4s indirect, and I think it's worth putting them back on the board and trying them. The thing I missed most about D-Cannons is the -1 to hit that they put on opponents' units. Being able to lightning fast reactions and debuff our opponents multiple units each turn means everything. Custodes, for example, pay for hitting on 2s. They pay for that as part of their points in their model. When we start getting them hitting on 3s, they feel less and less efficient. So one of the things, even if we weren't able to bring down a ton of them, I would have loved to get them hitting on 3s instead of 2s, and I think we would have been able to make a little bit more headway. But overall, I think we are in a good predicament. If I was to go against someone who had a ton of experience in Custodes, I do not believe the list that I brought would have been enough to bring them down. But thank you again. I hope you enjoyed. I hope Pariah Nexus is treating you all pretty well. Let me know in the comments if it seems like we got a net buff or if everyone else just got a little bit better. Initially, I thought that we were going to be much more well-positioned in some of the games that I've been playing, but as it seems right now, a lot of the armies seem to be skewing more towards combat rather than shooting. And the way that the terrain is laid out, it's making it very, very difficult to get a good number of our units into appropriate firing lanes where we can really just ambush our opponent in both shooting and combat afterwards. I did originally think that we were much more well-positioned than we are right now. In fact, we have another game coming up, if anyone wants me to post it, of me playing Space Marines against Chaos Space Marines. And the way I developed the Space Marines army was based on our traditional Harlequin playstyle. So it is almost unit for unit, activation for activation, similar to our Harlequin list, except using Space Marine models. If you are interested in something like that, I would be more than happy to post it. I know this is a Harlequins only channel, but maybe just getting into the strategy and tactics that we can carry over to other armies, maybe something fun or beneficial for everyone afterwards. But again, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you more than you know. I'm starting to really love this community. People are reaching out and talking with me every day, and I couldn't be more happy to help. So take care. I'll see you in the next video.